We are less than 2 weeks away from Selection Sunday as college football playoff teams in the hunt try to make their final impression on the College Football Playoff Committee. Welcome to Rankings Reaction, presented by Allstate, alongside former NFL QB Matt Sims. SportsCenter's very own Skubie Mageza. You can catch him tomorrow morning on SCAM. I am Sam Ravech. We have an empty chair here.
CPM.
We have an empty chair here. Heather Dinich, the authority on all things college football playoff, will join us momentarily, guys. I thought HD said it best kind of in her column this week. The biggest surprise in Week 13 was there was no surprise, which in a season full of surprises, that was kind of an anomaly. But there still are questions that the College Football Playoff Committee had to answer this week, one of which being, how big of a win was Oregon's over USC this past weekend? Is it enough to vault them over maybe a Ole Miss at number 7? We have answers, and the answer is yes. Oregon jumps Ole Miss and moves to the number 6 spot. One of the other questions as well, did Utah's close call open the door for, say, Miami? Yes, it did. Miami now inches a little bit closer to the field at number 12 right now. A lot of the top teams remain unchanged as you get a look at the bracket. If the season were to end today, which as we know it does not, Tulane would be the projected Group of 5 champion out of the American. And also, Miami's still in that placeholder spot at 11, which is very, very confusing to folks, and I can understand why. But that is essentially reserved for the ACC champion. We'll get to that in just a second, guys. Let's start our dialogue with the biggest game, the biggest win of the weekend, and that was Oregon's win over USC. Warranted that the committee moved them ahead of Ole Miss in this week's ranking, despite the fact that Ole Miss didn't play a football game this past weekend, Matty?
I think it is a little bit out of sight, out of mind, right, for the committee this past weekend. And, of course, Oregon, the way that they won, the physicality that they showed, the fact that they can run the football, it seems like their young quarterback seems a little bit more mature, more experienced. And I think more so we got to put the focus on the fact that Oregon's defense, right, it's a physical unit, right? It's led by Bryce Betcher, who is one of the better middle linebackers in the league. Dylan Fenneman is a phenomenal safety there. And, of course, Manti Uiagalelei at defensive end / defensive tackle, whatever he is. He kind of does it all for this team. Flowers as well. So you could see that this unit on the defensive side has a lot to it. They're getting better. They're more experienced. They're a tougher football team. I keep going back to that matchup against Iowa where I just feel like that's where Oregon really started to learn how to cut their teeth as far as just a tough football team. So I think for the committee, my question I think to you guys is, does the committee knock Ole Miss one spot because it's more about what's happening outside of football than it is between the lines playing the game right now?
I think it's tough to ignore what's going on
a little bit
with Ole Miss, because right now we're waiting for the decision after the Egg Bowl. We know that the committee has said that there are 2 things that can affect your ranking. It is players that may or may not get injured, and we know that happened with Florida State that one year. And
it's the Jordan Travis rule.
Right, yeah. Coaches can also affect your ranking, and I think we're all waiting to see what's going to happen with Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin as things go forward. But I think it is justified to see Oregon take that jump. Right now, they are the number 1 rushing team in the Big Ten. We saw how physical they can be as a football team, putting up over 250 yards rushing against Iowa and then putting up another monster game rushing against USC. And they were able to be effective at all 3 phases of the game, but yet they were missing 3 offensive linemen, 3 backup offensive linemen that they were playing, missing 2 of their starting wide receivers. And then you get production from not just your offense and defense, but also special teams. Malik Benson with a huge punt return for them. So I think the committee just saw how complete this football team is, even with key injuries towards their roster.
Look, there's still a path to the Big Ten title game for the Ducks. If Michigan were to beat Ohio State, that opens up the door for Oregon.
Right.
I'll ask you guys, there were questions about Oregon's resume on the whole prior to the USC game.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, a win over USC and a team that has injuries of their own, especially in the secondary of that defense, is enough to vault them over Ole Miss that does have a win against a College Football Playoff Committee top 10 team in Oklahoma.
Well, and that's where I would just say, unfortunately for me and all that, I mean, I think
Tulane, you mentioned
the better win is Oklahoma. They have Tulane as well on their resume, right? So that's another team that's playing in the playoff as well. And I think just for this football team, you have a close loss to a Georgia football team who we think now at this moment might be one of the best teams in the country.
Agreed.
Right? So in the whole grand scheme of it, I do think that Ole Miss has the better resume, But we are going to go back to the recency bias and also what we're seeing on film. I would say that I would favor Oregon as a whole a little bit more right now.
Okay.
Yeah. Right now, outside of the Trojans' victory, Oregon's best win is a narrow 2-point win against Iowa, a team that has 4 losses on their record now. Don't disrespect. Iowa's a good football team, right?
Got a lot of good wins.
They'll drag you into a dogfight.
Right.
We just know that's how Iowa operates.
Yeah.
But I do agree with you. Ole Miss does have the better wins right now, but we're in a situation where we're picking hairs.
Yeah.
And we see on tape that Oregon's a better team.
No doubt. And Ole Miss, I think, I don't know if they jump Oregon again with a win at Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl this weekend. What could change things is the Lane Kiffin decision as well. That is what everyone is going to be waiting on. All right. Like we all predicted back in August, we would be sitting here at this desk talking about the ACC conundrum. And here we are, because there is a scenario in which the ACC has 6 teams that are making their way to a potential conference championship game. Obviously, all 6 will not make it. But Miami still sits at the committee's number 11 spot there as a placeholder for the ACC champion. It is very much a long shot that Miami can make the playoff as the ACC champion. Their best case is likely going to be as an at-large team. But I'll ask you, Maddie, is their at-large resume with a win over a Pittsburgh team that just demolished Georgia Tech this past weekend, by the way, is that enough to get them in the field as an at-large, or does it really just depend on what happens around them?
I think it does depend on what happens around them, right? Because I go back to that loss against Louisville, right? That has not aged well, right? That loss against Louisville. But you're still holding on to the win against Notre Dame, of course, right? You're holding on to the win against South Florida, which at that time was important as far as just the grand scheme of things. But outside of that, it is hard to kind of find, like, signature wins by Miami, where you can feel like super confident at their placement. And also, too, like, what are we doing in this modern age of I think we're pretty logical here. Why are they at the 11th spot if they can't even win the damn conference?
I agree. That's
where I'm just like, we're misleading their fans.
Yes.
Sorry,
all of
fans.
College football.
I told you last week I felt bad for the fans, and you told me not to feel bad for them.
You're right, but I guess now, and this is the great thing about time. As I have more time to think about it, I just don't like, what we're doing here, right? We're misleading. And also, too, it's just like we're playing with the heartstrings a little bit too
really
much,
are.
right?
Yeah.
With all that being
Miami
said,
fans.
we know how talented Miami is, right? And, of course, Heather says it best. If you would just taking care of business, against SMU or Louisville, we wouldn't be here in this discussion, because we know that their roster and their talent is as good as anybody in the country.
I will say this, right? You just brought up how we know how talented Miami is. And the beauty of sports and life is sometimes you play towards your ceiling and your potential, and other times you play towards your floor. And we've seen Miami play towards their floor and not play towards their potential twice in the games that they lost this season. But if Miami plays towards their ceiling and they go against Notre Dame again, and these two teams are playing their best ball, because if Carson Beck doesn't throw 4 interceptions in that game, right, we're talking about a completely different team.
Yeah.
Who ends up winning that game? I know we're looking at different teams that have had different gains towards the season, but I think Miami is still a really talented team.
Well, this weekend's going to tell us a lot as well, because the committee looks at common opponents. And we saw what Notre Dame did when they went to the Steel City and took care of their business. So now it's Miami's turn to kind of answer the call and take care of business against Pitt as well.
Is this now, though, where the committee is helping out Miami and the ACC as well as a whole by the 2 not ranked teams now in the top 25 as far as SMU and Pittsburgh? Right, that's where I feel like the committee as a whole is kind of like looking out, right, for the ACC, for Miami, for that potential, right, avenue for them to make it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I would agree. And we can also, by the way, we can dispel the ACC doomsday scenario with these rankings. Pitt, SMU, and Virginia all have the best chances of playing in the conference championship game. And by and large, the chances of one of them getting a win over the other one is going to be a better win than James Madison is going to get in their conference.
And not only that, for Notre Dame, USC is still in the rankings. There's the back end of the rankings. They may not matter towards a college football playoff, but it does matter to the teams that beat them. Is that team that we beat still in the top 25? Well, okay, cool. We can use that towards our case and our resume. And for Notre Dame, USC is still there. They only dropped a couple of spots.
I would flip this on you too, Matty, and you brought up SMU.
Yeah.
This is going to sound bad.
8-3 football team right now, 6-1 in the conference.
But is it somewhat of an indictment on the ACC to have SMU, a team that was playing in the AAC 2 years ago, They won that conference 2 years ago.
Yeah.
To potentially have SMU come into your conference, go to the championship in year one, potentially go to the championship in year two. Like, what does that say about the overall strength of this league?
It sounds like it was a great move to bring SMU into our league.
Not a shot at Rhett Lashley at all and his team, because credit to them, they prepared to come into this league. But what does that say about the rest of the league, that they could have a chance to play in the conference championship back-to-back years? But they're not even getting a cut of the media rights
which
yet.
Which is crazy.
Well, thank you for reminding me of that aspect of it, because they have definitely been helping the ACC a lot with the action that they've done the past 2 years. But yeah, I mean, lo and behold, like, this is where I think just the conference discussions are really interesting, because I think nobody does a better job at branding their entire conference than the SEC does. Right. And I think that's also why the SEC, like, we're banging at the door trying to get a fifth, a sixth, a seventh damn team in the playoffs, right? Because of that power of our conference. So for SMU, new to the conference, it's the same thing for Texas and SEC, right? Like, hey, they're part of the conference now. They're part of the tapestry of the new history that you're creating there. And SMU's been performing extremely well, and they deserve their credit that they have earned.
All right, very good. Look at the chance to send multiple teams to the playoff.
Very good. It's not the answer he was looking for.
I will just SMU and Texas, maybe different teams by and large, but
I hear you on that part. You know, that's tough to compare those two. But yeah.
Fair enough. So the SEC, a chance that's pretty good. I said 92% to send 4 or more teams. We don't have a line for 5 or more teams. I'd be curious to see what the oh wait, there it is. 49% chance to send 5 or more teams to the playoff. How about that? And how about this? We bring in the authority on all things college football playoff, Heather Dinich, joining us fresh off the Linear Show. She joins us now. We are not worthy, as Matt always says,
yes, ma'am,
of your presence. Before we get to the Texas conversation of this whole thing, any comment on kind of Miami and the fact they're still sitting there, the placeholder, which is confusing all of the Canes fans?
It is, yes. So it's important for everyone to realize, first of all, there's not a magic number in the ranking that Miami needs to get to in order for the committee to say, well, we're going to consider the head-to-head, Miami won, we're going to flip them. That's not how it works. It's part of the conversation, and by moving them up to 12, Miami is currently in the conversation with BYU, Alabama, and Notre Dame. So they are being discussed together.
Right.
But it's the whole body of work. And it's clear the committee thinks Notre Dame is better than Miami, period, and stop.
Does this go back to the adage of, is it the most deserving or is it the best team? How does the committee classify that? Because right now, I would look at it and say Miami is the most deserving, because if you're going to put me and another team that I beat against, then you need to pick us because we beat you. This is a game that's handled in between the lines, and now we're taking all that away. And we're looking at, well, we just think they're better.
Well, the protocol says the best team. It's literally written down, the best team. And if you look statistically speaking, Notre Dame is 5th in overall efficiency right now. It's better than Miami in strength of record. It's better in strength of schedule. Miami's slightly better defensively, but we're splitting hairs here.
Right.
So what they see on film, they like better from Notre Dame.
The protocol on I-95 is 55 miles an hour, but sometimes I drive 65 miles an hour.
A little faster than that.
A little bit
you
faster.
with your dad jokes.
Depends on where we got to be. Depends on where we got to be and what time. All right, Texas. Let's have this conversation here. A team with 3 losses that some people believe have the resume to maybe be in the field or at least be in the conversation. If they get a win over Texas A&M, they would have a win against the top 10 team in Vandy at the time that they played, and of course a win against the best quote-unquote SEC team right now, an undefeated Texas A&M. So are we still having the door closed on Miami after what we've seen in this rankings?
Texas, you mean?
Yes.
Yes. When the selection committee dropped Texas to 17 after, was it last week?
Yes.
To me, that was no man's land.
Okay.
That was irrelevance in the college football playoff. And that led me to believe that even if they were to beat the Aggies, a top 3 team, it would not be enough. And I still think that that's the case.
Okay.
All right, so let's go ahead and look at this because
get over there.
my favorite part here, it's like on election night.
Scooby the weatherman.
Scoob's going to do his best Steve Kornacki impersonation tonight.
It's like I'm going up to the touchscreen. So to have this point on Texas, even if they were to win out, it only jumps to 11% here on the bottom for them to be able to make it to the college football playoff. But I think, Heather, where it really gets interesting is what happens if Texas A&M ends up losing against Texas, right? Because their chances to make the conference championship game, because we have it here, will jump to 6%. And then we're talking about a Georgia versus Alabama SEC conference championship game.
The SEC is fascinating to me because, first of all, the Alabama is the easiest thing that we have going on right now, in that if they win the Iron Bowl, they're in the SEC championship game. If they lose, they're out of the college football playoff.
Right.
What if, to your point, either of any of those teams we're talking about,
4%.
Texas A&M, Georgia, Alabama, what if they make it to the SEC championship game and lose?
Right.
That's my biggest question for Selection Day.
Yeah.
Because then you're talking about, in Alabama's case, a 3-loss team that's the SEC runner-up. You know what that looks like to me? 2024. It looks like 3-loss Alabama sitting there at
Don't say
number
that.
11 or 12 and
Yeah.
out of the college football playoff. That's what that looks like.
Right.
Oh, man.
We'll see. Texas A&M as an undefeated team, more margin for error naturally, right?
By the way, doesn't that just go to show you just like you? Texas A&M hasn't played any of the top 7 teams in the SEC this year, and that just goes to show you, like, if they lose, they're not even making the conference championship as a 1-loss team in the conference.
Well, Texas A&M didn't have to play Alabama or Georgia, to your
Right.
point. I mean, and people on the selections committee, they noticed that.
They know that.
For
Right.
sure. You better believe it.
They watched the games, and they did not see Texas A&M play Alabama.
And
or
real
Georgia.
quick, because this is something that I've brought up in other shows. Vanderbilt fans, I know you're watching. Let me just explain this to you. Now, Vanderbilt, right now, they sit at a 6% chance to make, 11% chance Vanderbilt to make the playoff. If they were to win out, how far does it jump up? Just 27%. So even if Vanderbilt beats Tennessee and they have 2 losses on
don't
the
worry about
entire
it.
seain, it's just a 27% chance to get into the college football playoff. Heather, what type of help do they
We
need?
don't lose to Vanderbilt, Coach. All right.
The crazy thing is when you look at that, every team ahead of them can lose.
Yeah.
Every one. Alabama can lose in the Iron Bowl.
So-
Oklahoma can lose to LSU.
Alabama,
Ole Miss can,
Alabama loses, Vanderbilt jumps up to 45%. Oklahoma, they can lose to LSU.
Yes.
What happens? Jumps up to 48%.
Keep going, Steve.
Ole Miss
Keep going.
loses the Egg Bowl.
I don't
Ole
like
Miss,
this exercise
you're
at
going to
all.
lose the Egg Bowl. What happens to Ole Miss when they lose the Egg Bowl? Oh, well, it says
Unlikely that.
the computer doesn't believe it, but that's okay.
All right. That's the SEC conversation. Now, I'm interested in the Big 12 as well because BYU and Utah. We saw Utah get dinged a little bit with that close game that they played over the weekend against Kansas State. Scoob, what do these 2 teams need to do if they want to increase their chances at making the playoff? I see BYU at 37% right now.
All right, so BYU sitting at 37%. If they are to win out, and this win out includes conference championship, it jumps up to 99% to make the college football playoff. But one thing to notice here, you see Texas Tech at 85% to still make the college football playoff. So when you talk about bid stealer, Heather, is it correct to assume that BYU can be a huge bid stealer, but what spot exactly would that be in the college football playoff ranking?
If BYU wins the Big 12, Texas Tech is in. You have 2 Big 12 teams. Someone in the current top 10 is getting pushed out. I would be concerned if I were Notre Dame. I would be concerned anywhere around that spot.
About 9 or 10? Is that what you're thinking?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you can reshuffle the ranking any which way, but someone in the top 10 is getting pushed out for 2 Big 12 teams. Everyone has to let that sink in for a minute,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Who is it? Because the 11th seed is going to the ACC champ, the 12th seed is going to the American champ, or however the group of 5 shakes out. So with BYU and Texas Tech,
So
you're looking at probably the number 10 ranked team.
9. Right now we have, this is 8, 9, and 10. Alabama. Now, if Alabama ends up winning the SEC championship, they're going to jump up. But
Yeah.
this
Uh-huh,
also,
but see,
That's your 3-loss Alabama team.
But if Alabama wins the Iron Bowl or wins the SEC,
yeah.
they're going to go ahead of Notre Dame.
Right.
That's why I said Notre Dame should be concerned
trouble.
because by somebody moving up, Notre Dame bumps
Right.
down,
Yeah.
right?
That's a really good point.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying that it does pay off sometimes to play in a conference championship game?
It depends who you are, right?
You don't have to answer that, Heather. I'm just taking shots at Notre Dame. That's all. All right, that was interesting. Did we mess around with Utah at all, Scoob? I know Utah's chances are really minimal here.
Let's check out Utah right
now.
And
then we got to get Heather back to work.
They're sitting at a 7% chance to make the college football playoff. If they are to win out, it jumps up to 9%. Now, Utah would need a little bit of help to even increase their chances in doing anything else. Here, I'll go lose here. Still only jumps up to 11% to make the college football playoff. So Utah is pretty much grass.
So even though they're at the 13th spot, it's kind of a little bit of a facade for Utah?
Well, don't give up 500 yards on the ground. I mean,
I concur, Doc. I concur.
Yes, a program record. Yes, that's never a good.
Real quick, before we get head out, I wanted to check out the ACC because we didn't get everybody an opportunity for this. And we know that Miami is a team that people want to get to the conference championship. And we were messing around with this before we got on air. Now, Virginia, when's the last time they beat Virginia Tech, Sam?
I think it was
2019. But that was the first time they beat them in 15 years. So Virginia beating Virginia Tech, if you're a Virginia fan, you're not really feeling confident about that. So let's just say lose here for Virginia, right? Ooh, 51% to make the conference championship for Miami. Now, you're seeing SMU, California. Are we going to see SMU lose that game? Probably not.
Well, they just fired their coach, and we know what happens when teams fire their coach.
So for Miami, it jumped up to 53%. We need Pitt and everything else over here to take a look at it. But you see it with Miami, 49% to make the playoff, 53% conference championship game. If you're a Miami fan, you're looking at this game right here, and you're hoping that Virginia Tech finds a way to beat Virginia.
Okay, can we just do one thing really quickly? I just want to say, all right, you're the committee. You make the final decision. Let's just say you have Miami, Notre Dame, and Alabama, right, in a situation where you have to pick one. Heather Dinich, who do you choose? Who do you give that rose to?
I give it to Alabama.
You do?
They're sitting there with 4 top 22 wins a week ago. Mizzou's obviously not ranked anymore, but a win against Vanderbilt, win against the number 4 team in the country in Georgia.
Right.
And if they're going to the SEC championship game, to me, that's a no-brainer. If they lose, that's a different question.
One of the most frustrating things that I see with this ranking, the 24th ranked team in the country is going to make the college football playoff as we stand right now.
Yes.
Has there been talks at all of maybe putting a cap where you have to be within the top 15 or 17 to be able to get that spot? Because you're all the way in the back, Tulane, and your own head coach said that we're not a good football team. But yet here we are with Tulane taking a spot in the college football playoff, and we have teams like Miami sitting there saying, what the heck, man?
It's true. And SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey would have no problem if it were the 16 best teams and not necessarily have automatic qualifiers. Yes, there have been talks about that. The problem is legally you have to be very careful not to exclude 5 conferences from the postseason and the opportunity to win a national title.
So you have to keep 5.
Well,
you got antitrust laws and stuff that come into play, and limiting opportunities for stuff like that.
That's right.
So
they have to be very, very careful of that. They're cognizant of that.
But there is certainly conversations about it. That's for sure. All right, Heather Dinich, always appreciate your authority on all things college football playoff.
Thank you, Heather.
Looking forward to next week, right? I mean, that's going to be the big kind of tell-all next week rankings on Tuesday.
Guys, Michigan can be in the college football playoff. You got to go down to number 15. That's how deep the field is right now. I don't want to go. I have so much fun with you guys. All right.
We're telling you got to go. So.
You can hang out.
The guy in our ear keeps telling us to all right, say bye, Heather.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so
Thank you so much.
Enjoy Rivalry Week.
All right, thanks for watching Rankings Reaction presented by Allstate. Let's talk about the Big Ten, too. HD brought it up. There is actually
Vanderbilt beat Tennessee. Come on.
There's a scenario in which Michigan actually plays Ohio State in the Big Ten title game again, if that were to play out.
Well, break down that scenario for us, Sam.
Yeah. Take a look at the Allstate Playoff Predictor, and this is what the week and the chaos can look like. Ohio State Buckeyes, 51% chance to win the Big Ten title game. Right there behind them, Indiana as well. They play Purdue this weekend. Oregon as well, still hanging in the balance, and Michigan with a 1% chance to win the Big Ten title game, although they have a good chance to make the Big Ten title game if they were to just beat that team in Ohio State for the 5th straight time, guys. Let's talk a little bit about the Big Ten. You know, there is that wild scenario where those two could actually play each other again in Indianapolis a week after playing each other. But Ohio State and Indiana are in, this weekend if both of them take care of business, which, as many of the odds predict, they will do. I kind of want to start the conversation here. If we do get Ohio State and Indiana in Indianapolis in the Big Ten title game, what's that game really worth outside of a trophy for a conference title? Because by all intents and purposes, they could both get buys as well.
I think it's all about just the new and the old, right? That's really what it is. It's just about the changing of the guard potentially, right? For Indiana to have back-to-back 10-win seasons, for them to have that opportunity in the Big Ten championship game with Signetti going up against Ryan Day. And that's where I think it's pretty exciting, right? To see that just in this modern era of college football, you can get an opportunity to coach at a place like Indiana and take your team to the top of the world, essentially, right? And you can Google it and just say, hey, man, we win. That's what we do. So I would just say it's a little bit of just the potential changing of the guard in the Big Ten if Indiana were to win that in the Big Ten championship game.
And neither of those teams have played multiple opponents like an Alabama has. Right? I mean, they just haven't. So we get to see them play against their counterpart in a lot of ways.
I mean, and you guys know how much I love Julian Sain, and I think how talented he is, and of course how improved the offense is every single week this season. But we really haven't seen Julian Sain tested to some degree as far as just like, hey, I know that he had a good game against Washington. He's played really good football throughout the season. But just has he really hit adversity like that, like an Alabama and Ty Simpson has? We haven't seen that moment.
What's the best defense Ohio State's faced this year?
Texas?
Washington?
Texas.
Sure, Texas.
Texas, you could say Texas, right? And I would say that Texas defense was probably better then than it is now in a lot of ways, right? Especially with their pass defense.
Held to 14 points?
You know, that's again that discussion of, it was September versus now
First
in the recency
ever career start for Sayin, too. So,
Correct,
And now we'll go back to this because
it's obviously it's Penn State, though, right?
Okay.
That's
a good point.
Yeah.
I go back to this because Julian Sain just played without Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith this week against Rutgers, and it was a little bit rough for him. It didn't necessarily look great on the box score, and he's surrounded by so much talent. I mean, he still has other guys that can make plays for him, but the defense is really where Ohio State shines.
Yeah.
So Julian Sain, the quarterbacks gets all the shine and everything when it comes down to it, but that defense has like 4 first-round draft picks.
And the Rutgers matchup is a little misleading, too. I think when you watch Ohio State as a whole, it's a little misleading because they're so dang good, right? It's more about, like, let's not mess it up. Let's just play clean football and let the other team mess it up.
Right.
When you're that talented and that much better than every opponent you play against, there really is no advantage for you to take risks that way.
Georgia's played a little bit like that this year at times.
At times, too, It's kind of just like, listen, eventually we're just going to wear you out in the fourth quarter. We're going to hit you with a haymaker.
Right.
We're just going to score 2 extra points here late, and it's going to look like a comfortable win, right? So for Ohio State, we're also talking about Coach Schiano, right, who was on that staff that knows that team extremely well. So he knows how to push certain buttons.
Very good. All right, fans, check out ESPN.com/Allstate Playoff Predictor to check out your team's chances at making the CFP using all of the tools and toggles as well. Speaking of, let's go ahead and take a look at our college football playoff bracket here. First, top 10 teams in the CFP rankings. Heading into the penultimate rankings release here tonight. Ohio State, as we mentioned, another chance to knock off Michigan on Saturday in the game. We have Oklahoma, a little bit of a tester against LSU. Watch out for that one. Oregon at Washington. Washington doesn't lose a lot there at Husky Stadium. But let's go ahead and take a look at our college football playoff bracket.
Here we go.
Surprise,
not much has really changed from last week, but we can go ahead and run through it here.
That's what we're going to start doing now, just like immediately. Just put the two.
What do we think? Yeah, I shouldn't be. That is no way reflective of how I really feel about that situation. But
I love the Mario Cristobal Bowl there.
Dude, this
That'd
would
be fun,
awesome.
right?
This would be awesome. Yeah, but that's exactly how that would look. Because we know that they shouldn't even be in this discussion at this point. So that's not even know why they're even here. All right, Alabama, Ole Miss. Who we liking?
What a game.
Bama.
I'm going to go with Bama just because of the defense, too.
How about the way that Ty Simpson has played over the last 2 weeks? Concerning at all, the 2 picks against Eastern Illinois?
Super concerned. I think Ty Simpson, right, as just a former player, looking at a talented football player that is just awesome, right, I think he was, like, out on his feet the past 2 weeks. I think just the weight of the entire program on his back caught up to him.
Okay.
So I really do
Really
think
good
that he
point.
just is like literally a burnt out young man that has all of Alabama on his shoulders right now.
That's real talk. Because the running game isn't clicking.
And we got to remember too, like
they got to rely on him for dang near everything.
And like he's a student athlete, so it's like he's not just playing ball 24/7.
Is it finals time right now?
What's that?
Yeah, there's finals going on.
Finals,
Yeah,
so it's just like
going on.
we got to keep that in mind for all of these young men, right? That's just
Sure.
like there's a lot of other things outside of football, right, that are taking place simultaneously. Oklahoma, Notre Dame, right? Does Oklahoma have enough offensively? Right, we trust in the defense, no doubt. Like, can they win a 17-10 ball game over Notre Dame?
No.
I don't think so either. I don't think so. I think Notre Dame gets the edge.
Because if it gets dirty, then it's going to come down to the run game, correct?
I mean, if they go up 14-0,
yeah.
Can they come back and win? I mean,
No.
that's unless it's
They
like
don't have enough firepower. It's all going to be on the defense for
Yeah.
Oklahoma. And I guess the only chance, the same formula as they did to Alabama, is can you put pressure on that young quarterback, C.J. Carr? We know he's young. This would
But it's
probably be
different.
the
It's
best.
about stopping the run game.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
So it would be one of those situations where they're put into obvious passing situations,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But if I'm Notre Dame, I don't care. I'm
Right.
still running the ball.
No doubt. All right, Georgia,
Let's go to the
Texas Tech.
quarterfinals here.
Yeah, what are we thinking
quarterfinals.
about Georgia, Texas Tech?
What a great game that we have over here. Some explosive teams. I think I still lean on Georgia defensively just because
Yeah.
they've been there. It's a big, strong team. And I think Gunnar Stockton will be able to deal with what Texas Tech can bring.
What are you thinking?
I would probably go with Georgia, although the defense, I think, is actually better on Texas Tech's side. I think Texas Tech is a better defense, especially up front, than Georgia does this year.
I'm going to go with Texas Tech.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Tech. Let's switch it up a little. Let's get Texas
Y'all
Tech. Let's
going
get
to be mad in the comments.
I know.
Say your thing. Matt Sims at him. Sims
We gotta have some upsets.
Slow down here.
We gotta have some upsets.
All right, Notre Dame, Ohio State, right? A lot of Ohio State fans very upset with us a week ago, all right, because I picked C.J. Carr over Notre Dame. All right, there you go.
Even it out.
We'll even it out this week because we just
Gonna
we
have
don't want
Georgia fans mad at him.
That's right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Ohio
It's
State.
okay. Notre Dame already hates us, so we're cool with that. All right, Oregon, Texas A&M.
Is this the Evan Stewart Bowl? Technically, Evan
Very
Stewart
good.
transfer from
Yes,
A&M.
very good. I like
Is
it.
this
Hasn't
a
played yet.
100% healthy Oregon team?
I'm going with Oregon.
Are they completely healthy?
At this point, you would think.
I will.
Yes.
I'll
Yeah.
say this: out of all the teams in the college football playoff, the one team that I would be concerned with the most when healthy is Oregon. I think they could make the most noise out of anybody if fully healthy, and we haven't really seen it yet.
Okay.
So
All right.
I would go with Oregon.
Let's go with Oregon. Right? And we've had Texas A&M in the finals and winning it too as well. So let's switch it up a little bit as far as the
tough
matchups.
games. Dan Lanning said they're not playing Chattanooga to end.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Indiana beat Alabama.
I'm there with you. I'm at Indiana winning that game.
Indiana winning that game?
I think
you
so.
got it too, Scoob?
I'll roll with you guys.
Indiana?
I just think
not totally
I think
buying it.
Alabama's just looked like a different team the last couple weeks.
Well, I got to
don't
tell
know.
you, this we haven't been to this point yet, right? This is a very heavy Big
It's one
Ten
of our first weeks when we haven't had
conversations.
Texas A&M
Yes.
over at least in the Final Four.
All right, Texas Tech, Ohio State. Who you got?
I'd take Ohio State.
I'm going with Ohio State too. I just think for as far as the defense goes, right, I'd be concerned about Texas Tech being able to protect Barron Moore in an obvious passing situation. So I really think that Matt Patricia give them the edge there for that. All right, now Oregon, Indiana, part deux.
Do we notice that we have three Big Ten
That's right.
teams in the
We do.
in the final? We may have a Big
I just
Ten
said that, Scooby.
championship.
You weren't listening.
Yeah, I guess I wasn't listening. No.
I think the Big Ten has the best odds actually to win the title right now, for whatever that's worth.
I would agree with that. Yeah. What do you think?
Man, there's so many good storylines here. You have a rematch?
I don't really want to pick this matchup for
rematch of the Big Ten title game, or
Oh, really? See, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the second time around,
just erased Oregon.
you just completely depleted them. I think second time around, I think Oregon gets it done. I do. Because I think that really Mendoza and just some of the miraculous plays that he made late in that football game, I feel like it's hard for me to think that they can do that a second time over with how aggressive Oregon played.
I think they're too young. Their age is going to catch up to them, but we'll see. Maybe it catches up to them here in the title game.
Wow,
Ohio State goes back to back, huh?
Back
You
to
agree?
back.
All right.
all right.
7 points allowed per game is the average for
Back-to-back
Ohio State right
champs.
now. The last defense that allowed 7 points per game was that 2021 Georgia
Yeah,
defense.
that was-
We know how good they were.
They had like 15 players drafted.
Look at
that
us.
year.
Look at us. Very Big Ten heavy today.
Big
All
Ten
right,
heavy,
there you go.
efficient. No SEC bias here, right?
Absolutely
That's the word?
none.
All right.
None.
No SEC bias.
Not at all.
All right,
I don't think we have that graphic for this show.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
We are out of time. We will have that graphic for our show on Saturday, the College Football Show. Make sure you tune in there because this is going to be a crazy feast week here, leading all up to Rival Week. Of course, we'll be on 11 o'clock Eastern Time on the ESPN College Football YouTube page as well. For Matt, Scoob, I'm Sam, and our entire crew saying so long. Thank you so much for watching Rankings Reaction, presented by Allstate. We'll see you Saturday and next Tuesday.
Tackle.